Headline hunting on the Just Baseball Show, Thursday, August 25th. Typically, the Thursday episode is me, Jack, and you, Peter. But you, Peter, are not you, Peter. You, Peter, are you, Aram. So I got to suck it up and do another one with you. I'm kind of upset about it. How do you feel?
Yeah, you got to deal with me. I think it's a blessing given that Cal Quantrill's pitching right now. So
yeah, I'm good.
Aren't you glad you don't have to hear about that shit?
Yes.
Yeah, it, of course, catches the Padres while they're sucking. And right. Of course he's twirling a nice outing as we record this. So there's the silver lining. You don't have to hear the Cal Quantrill spiel from Peter for another day.
I'm pretty in, and you'll get your fix of Peter and I on the same Zoom conversation because we've got a very interesting guest for you tomorrow on the show that we will turn around for you. We're recording on Thursday morning to give to you on Friday morning. So that'll be that.
I heard he was pretty good baseball player.
He was fine. Yeah. And he also, he's not talking about a hand cream, but he was big on the hand cream thing and on MILB or on MLB TV for a while. So yeah, I mean, really good baseball player that was in on the hand cream for a couple of years. So, if you do know who it is, shut your mouth and, we'll talk to you on Friday with that. Yeah. But, I want to bounce around the league a little bit and there's been some good written content that's gone up on justbaseball.com. One of which for our YouTube folk is about this guy. And for our non-YouTube folk, it's Andrew Painter. I want to talk about maybe, the quickest rising prospect in all of baseball.
Yeah, it's funny because we talked about him on the mailbag yesterday, but it was more of just from the lens of like Peter was just like, tell me about him. Yeah. Now I want to follow up because I just put out a specific piece on Andrew Painter's entire arsenal and also what has just worked for him this year.
Yeah,
and why I think he is now looking like maybe one of the best pitching prospects in baseball, but now I'm looking at him and I'm like, what does Yuri Perez do that Andrew Painter can't? And now I'm starting to look, and again, we're updating our top 100 list. I like to be transparent with some of the big decisions that have to be made. And I think there's a legitimate case for Andrew Painter to be ranked ahead of Yuri Perez.
Yes. Yeah.
And for those who are wondering, Yuri Perez is the other wonderkin with the Marlins, who's also 6'8", Painter 6'7". Also, pitched the whole season in Double-A. That would be the case for Yuri. He's pitched the whole season in Double-A. But we're going to have by the end of this year, 6, maybe 5 starts in Double for Painter, and the numbers are probably going to be pretty damn good. What's crazy, check out the article because I took the time to cut up some video of each of his pitches. So you can see the fastball, you can see the slider, you can see the curveball and the changeup. I think he has a chance to have 4 above average to plus pitches, which is reminiscent of only Grayson Rodriguez. So I think there's a legitimate chance where Andrew Painter may only be behind Grayson Rodriguez in our top 100 update.
Yeah, so last year, like Andrew Painter gets drafted, a high school guy out of Pompano Beach or Cavalry Christian, right?
Yeah, the Rivals, which is really funny too, because it's pumped out some good talent. Small school, 5 minutes from where I went to high school. Also, Luke Jackson came out of there. Jake Eater as well. I believe they were teammates.
2 TJ guys right now.
Yeah, Calvary, low key, Tommy John factory.
Yeah, damn upsetting. And hopefully we're not looking at that for Andy Painter. But I mean, the gist on Painter, he gets drafted 13th overall last year, makes 4 starts at the Arizona Complex or in the Florida Complex League. And, like those starts don't last long. Like 4 starts span 6 innings, but 6 innings of 4-hit shutout ball, punched out 12, didn't walk anybody. So obviously, that he's really talented, but that was just your taster of pro ball. This was going to be the first year. You start him in low A, expecting him to be a very talented pitcher, but not be the best pitcher in minor league baseball off the top.
Yeah,
he was. 9 starts in low A. He puts together a 1.4 ERA, 6 earned runs in 38 2/3, 69 strikeouts. It's 16 Ks per 9. You bump him to high A. It's like, okay, we saw all we needed to see in 9 starts in low A. High A, he's got a sub-1 ERA. 36 2/3 innings, 4 earned runs, 49 strikeouts, 7 walks, a .87 whip. Okay, holy shit, are we going to do this with a 19-year-old and the young 19? Like, he just turned 19 on April 10th. Yeah, they bump him to Double-A Reading along with Mick Abel. And in his first start in Double-A, 6 innings, a 3-hit shutout ball, strikes out 8, doesn't walk anybody. What this guy does, and like what we were talking about with Yuri Perez, was repeatability from a tall guy.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, why can a tall guy,
tall teenager,
many strikes? Yeah, a tall teenager who hasn't learned his body yet and whose body is still growing. How can they throw this many strikes? But that's kind of what we're looking at with Andrew Painter. And I think everybody knew that it was possible that he would become really good. But this early is absurd.
And it's funny because I laid off in the article. We talk about the Phillies system kind of being bad over the last couple years.
Yeah.
And it's not great by any means, but it's good now because of the top end talent. Sometimes you don't have to overthink it. 2020, Mick Abel is the best prep pitching prospect in the draft. They take him. He's been great. The next year, Andrew Painter's the best prep pitching prospect in the draft. They take him, and he's been great. Before we wrap up on Painter, just a few crazy numbers when you look at what he's done. I mean, you go through the ERA and the strikeouts and those things, which is just absolutely absurd. But the fact that he is able to pound the strike zone with elite stuff is just absurd. Opponents are hitting 190 against his fastball, which is insane because he's throwing it 60% of the time. Opponents against his breaking ball are hitting 131, 191, 159. So in 107 at-bats, they are slashing 111 with 58 Ks and 107 at-bats. That is what they're doing on his breaking ball. And then he's mixed in a changeup that he's starting to use more and more now as well. This is one of the next, I think, big time pitching prospects that we're going to be hearing about for a while. I think, might have more helium and hype than even maybe a Shane Baz when he finally got up and made his debut. We're just on the cusp of seeing this Painter explosion. I think we're going to start to see more people talking about him. So
now I ask you, who makes their major league debut first in the NL East, Painter or Yuri Perez?
Man, it's tough because I think there's a lot of circumstances that get into it. And Yuri's shut down more for an innings limit from what I've heard than an actual injury. Pitched the whole season in Double-A this year, so has a little bit more experience. He's going to start the year in Triple. Man, I think they might tie. I think they might get up there at the same time. Here's the problem. There might not be a spot for Yuri right away. So they might just talk themselves into it, the Marlins, by saying, hey, go pitch in Triple for a little bit, wait till the Super 2 deadline. But Painter could just be so dominant that, they feel confident to bump him up right at the start next year.
And they want to win again next year. You've got a healthy Harper, you've got Schwarber under contract, you've got Castellanos under contract, you've got Stott in place as the everyday shortstop. I mean, they could realistically win with Andrew Painter in the starting rotation next year as a 20-year-old.
And I don't know what else you'd really need to see. Assuming that he continues this success, right? He has big league caliber stuff and he's throwing strikes. So what else do we need to feel encouraged that this guy can be rushed? I think Andrew Painter is the kind of candidate that can be rushed. Yuri Perez was rushed by being assigned to Double-A. We talked about it before the season.
And he dealt with it well.
And he dealt with it really well. And I think Painter might deal with it even better. So that is what I'm really excited about. And I think, you add him to that rotation. Yeah. That's stupid. That's absolutely stupid. And you're slower with Mick Abel. You're more aggressive with Painter. And that's how you balance it out. I think the Phillies will and should consider that. But you talk about Harper. You texted in the group yesterday. And it's so funny, dude, because I had a quote tweet typed out. And then I was like, this is just kind of silly. But I was basically, when I saw Harper's home run and how easy it was, the first one, he hit 2, right?
Yeah.
In that rehab game.
2. Yeah.
The first one, I was like, this is so easy. I think Harper would hit 80 home runs in a Double-A season or in a minor league season. And then I was going to tweet it and I was like, but you could say that about maybe a few guys. I don't know if you could. I don't really know, but Bryce Harper just looked like he was playing with toddlers out there. And I know he's a big leaguer, a future Hall of Famer playing with minor leaguers on rehab assignments, but you kind of put it best.
it was AAA ball. He's on a AAA rehab assignment with Lehigh Valley, and they're hosting Gwinnett right now. So this is the Braves AAA taking on the Phillies AAA. And I watched the video and I texted you and I was like, normally rehabbing guys just kind of blend in with other AAA players. He sticks out like a sore thumb. He just looks like a major leaguer that's on a rehab assignment with the AAA team. And that's never how that shit works, because a lot of those AAA guys are built like major leaguers. They're all like 30. They're all 32. Harper actually looked like he was a man among boys, which was just crazy. I think Bryce Harper is honestly I know he's one of the most polarizing. People, for some reason, hate Bryce Harper. But
that was another tweet.
Harper.
I had two tweets typed up. Another one that I deleted as well is, and this was more just because I just didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't believe that there is a faction of people that don't enjoy watching this guy play baseball. That's what I had typed out, because it blows my mind. Like, I get it. He came up, he was a little bit of a smug asshole, whatever. He is so freaking good, and he's been mute for the last half decade. Like, he is one of the most aesthetically pleasing hitters to watch. Yes. I could watch him swing a bat all day.
So I guess this is hot takey. Like, I genuinely feel it. So I view hot takes as something that you don't genuinely feel. You're trying to convince yourself of by saying it. So I don't necessarily view this as a hot take. You could.
This is unpopular opinion. I think
unpopular opinion. Yeah, unpopular opinion from yours truly. I enjoy watching Bryce Harper more than a lot of the best players in Major League Baseball. I enjoy watching Harper way more than I enjoy watching Mike Trout. I enjoy watching Harper way more than I enjoy watching Acuna. I enjoy watching Harper more than I enjoy watching Mookie Betts. Because
okay, you lost me there.
Okay, but like Mookie, obviously he's so smooth everywhere. But Harper, the way that this dude can just go ballistic and take over the world for a 10-game stretch with that swing, with how violent yet graceful it is, there's something that's so hot to me about it. Like, I get turned on by watching Bryce Harper play baseball.
Well, and it's the evolution. I'm going to do this in the off season, but like the evolution of Bryce Harper's swing is pretty fascinating. I mean, this was a guy that came up, big leg kick, tons of moves, like swinging out of his freaking shoes. And then, it slowly quieted it down. And then you see the home run in triple. He doesn't even lift his foot up. It's a weight transfer, an insane amount of separation that he generates because of the hip mobility that he has. So like his front hip and his hands are creating this insane amount of tension, and he can just swing without even really moving his feet and launch a home run out of there with ease. I mean, it is so cool to watch this guy hit. And now adding him back to the Phillies, we've talked about it, but like, this Phillies team has stayed afloat. I know they got beat up by the Mets over the last two series. Who cares? Everyone gets beat up by the Mets. They've won all the other games they're supposed to win. And now you're adding, last year's MVP, a guy that looks like he's going to be fine. Like, there's not going to be an acclimation process for Bryce Harper. I think he's going to get right back in there and start swinging it. And by the way, Nick Castellanos is hitting well. Bryson Stott has been fantastic. JT Realmuto raking. Like, the whole offense is doing well. Ranger Suarez pitching well. Like, there's some things coming together here. I know the bullpen's banged up, but there's some things to like here in Philly.
So I've got a former college roommate, Matt DeFusco, who will chirp us on social media every time there's something Phillies that goes out, because he's still holding it against me that, like, I said mean things about Dave Dombrowski when they fired Girardi, and I stand by those mean things I said about Dave Dombrowski. I think that he just like obliterates farm systems and leaves. He just tries going all in. Like, I don't agree with the way that Dave Dombrowski goes about building an organization. But what I will say, and what I will key him in on, is that I really enjoy watching the Philadelphia Phillies right now, and I will greatly enjoy watching them more when Bryce Harper comes back, because you're right. Like, all these offensive pieces are clicking together, and they're figuring it out in the back end of the bullpen. Saw Brad Hand try and close out a game yesterday, which was really interesting. I didn't know that Brad Hand was still kicking around for a little bit, but you know what?
He's been good this year.
I know. And then you've got Nola and you've got Wheeler, and like, you've got people putting great starts together. You've got the offense clicking, and even like Tom McCarthy and John Kruk in that TV booth. Like, Kruk is hilarious. I think like even watching that on TV is fun. There's something to really like about the Philadelphia Phillies. It feels like the energy is there, And when Philly's on, Philly's on. And oh, by the way, Alec Boehm has been a fucking beast as of late.
Yeah, which is also awesome to see. I mean, it's all really coming together for them. And I don't know what that looks like. I mean, I don't think that means an NL pennant, but it means playoffs. And you know what? The two guys they've got at the top are going to give them a shot, So it's definitely not a team I want to run into in a 3-game set in the wild card. And it's going to be really interesting to see how things shake out there. So it's good for baseball to have a sports town like Philly back in it. And I'm interested to see how they approach things, but I'm glad that Dave Dombrowski didn't trade Painter or Abel. They did trade O'Hoppe, and that was surprising, but they did get a controllable young big league piece that I think they're buying low on in Brandon Marsh. So, that makes sense. That's not a depletion move, that's
and
more
they got
just
Real Muto.
Yeah, exactly. So it's more of and O'Hoppe's going just nuclear right now, by the way, in the mind. It's hilarious, but where were you going to play that guy? So it was just kind of a reassessment of kind of what you have in a reshuffle of assets. So that Dombrowski maybe he's learned a little bit and he's tamed it down a bit.
Yeah, team in their division made a call up. Cade Cavalli will make his major league debut on Friday for the Nats. Cavalli, I'm kind of blown because Rochester is currently in Indy. Cavalli was slated to throw this weekend in Indy, and I was really looking forward to watching him in person. But Cavalli will get up for his major league debut. There were some serious things that Cavalli needed to address this offseason. There were outings where he couldn't throw strikes last year. It was horrible to watch. It was pulling teeth. When he was on, the fastball is electric. The breaking ball is vomit-inducing, but couldn't throw strikes. If you can't throw strikes, you can't throw strikes, and you can't be a good pitcher. He has figured it out in spurts this year. I think we're still waiting for him to click at 100%. I think the Nats are done waiting, though. They're just going to get him up.
And I'm glad. I mean, it's at the point, too, where, Cavalli's a little bit of an older guy, just turned 24. There's some injury history there. So, again, do you want to waste his bullets in the minors when, you're trying to field a semi-competitive team at this point? And especially now that we have a draft lottery, like, what are you tanking for the worst record for? It doesn't really matter. They're going to be one of the 4 worst teams regardless. But what I really like about this move is they're calling him up at the right time. You talk about stringing together successful starts. This has arguably been the best stretch of his professional career. If you look at the last, I believe it's 7 starts. The last 7 starts, he's pitched to a 1.47 ERA. He struck out 30% of batters and walked just 8% of batters. This is a new look to Cade Cavalli. He went down with an injury, he came back. He's looked a lot more efficient. And what's amazing about Cavalli is you talk about the stuff. The fastball is really, really explosive out of his hand. But he's another guy that when he's right, he's got 4 pitches he can get you with. It's a fastball, it's a slider, it's a curveball, it's a changeup, and they're all above average. Cavalli's got frontline potential. It's all about the command and health. And, I'm glad that we're going to get a chance to see him at the big league level. I'm all about making the Nationals more watchable. And this is a guy that makes them more watchable.
Yeah. So I'm actually going to see Mike Burrows start against Yoan Adon later today. Yoan Adon does not make them more watchable.
No.
Who's been starting games for them? Anibal Sanchez, right?
Yep. He actually had like a decent start last time, I think.
Who else is starting games? Josiah Gray?
Josiah Gray, he's been kind of struggling. You got Patrick Corbin, of course.
Oh, Corbin, yeah.
Who are we? This is like a great trivia question.
Yeah. Who's starting games?
Eric Fetty just threw the other day, right?
No way. Did Fetty?
Yeah, Eric Fetty. Eric Fetty has like 20 starts this year.
Who else is starting for them? Yeah, I've got Josiah Gray, Patrick Corbin, Eric
Paolo
Fetty.
Espino.
Yeah, gross.
Aaron Sanchez made 7 starts for them before. I think he got DFA'd or something.
I kind of fuck with Aaron Sanchez. I see Erasmo Ramirez started 2 games.
Strasburg made 1.
Oh, yeah. People forget Steven Strasburg came back for a moment. You were there.
I was there. Wow.
Okay. Like
I talked to him after the game. Very nice guy. It does make me sad. It really does. He was very nice, even after he got crushed and threw 88.
Yeah, I understand. Hey, I've got an actual trivia question for you.
Sure.
There are, and this might actually take up like 5 minutes of your time. While I queue it up, I just did this with Howard Kellman during the Indians broadcast earlier today. Mentioned Griffey hitting 40 or more home runs in 4 straight seasons. He did it in 5. There are 8 or 9 guys, and I'll get the number for you, that have hit 40 or more home runs in 5 or more consecutive seasons. 40 or more homers, 5 or more consecutive seasons. Give it a whirl.
Bonds,
yes.
Man, that's really tough.
Yeah.
Mays?
No.
I know Aaron didn't. Right?
Aaron did not.
He did not. Yeah, I was gonna say he did not.
He did not.
Mike Schmidt?
Not Mike Schmidt. Bonds was 5. There's one guy with 7 consecutive seasons with 40 or more homers. There are 2 guys with 6, and then there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys with 5. So 8 people have done it.
I feel like Pujols had to do it, right?
No, Albert has not.
Frank Thomas?
No.
Damn.
It's kind of crazy.
That's a tough question, honestly, because there's so many home run hitters, and you just don't know who's like strung it together.
Consistent. Yeah.
Are they all Hall of Famers?
No, they are not.
Is Albert Bell on there?
No. Let's think 2000s. Let's think that era.
Oh, 2000s.
So you got Bonds. I gave you Griffey. There's one guy from 2004 to 2008. There are 2 from 98 to 03.
Well, A-Rod.
A-Rod did it 6 years in a row. The other guy did it 6 years in a row, too.
Jim Thome?
No, not Jim Thome.
Didn't he have 600 homers?
Yeah, he was hurt for the bulk of the 2005 season. I think that disrupted it.
Oh, wait. I'm missing an obvious one. We talked about this on Outside the Box, actually. Mark McGwire.
No, not McGwire. No way. McGwire never did it.
Are you serious?
He never did it.
Sosa
did it 6 consecutive years. You're missing the guy that did it 7, and then you're missing a guy that did it from 2004 to 2008, and then 2 that did it in the 50s.
Rafael Palmeiro?
No. I'm going to give you the 2 that did it 5 consecutive years in the 50s. Ralph Kiner and Duke Snider did it 5 consecutive years.
Shot.
Yeah, you wouldn't have gotten that. The guy that did it 7 years in a row, you should get. And then 5, this guy from 2004 to 2008 is a deep cut.
2004 to 2008?
Yeah. The other one was 1926 to 1932.
So 2004 to 2008 guy, is he a Hall of Famer?
No, he's not.
So like Luis Gonzalez?
No. Let's knock out who did it from 26 to 32. 7 straight years of 40 or more home runs.
Wait, 1926?
Yes.
Babe Ruth?
Yeah, Babe Ruth. He did it 7 years in a row. We're only missing one guy. National League Central.
National League Central?
2004 to 2008.
Adam Dunn?
Adam Dunn.
Yeah, there we go.
Adam Dunn.
That's hilarious.
He hit, I think it was 47 the first year of that stretch in 04, and then 05, 06, 07, 08. I think he hit 40 exactly.
So who do you think will do that now? Like, who are some of the candidates to do that next?
Honestly, I think like Pete Alonso.
Alonso is just so consistent. I think when people are like with Alonso, the bat to ball, again, you have to have. We were talking about this. It's funny because it's similar to yesterday's episode. One of the mailbag questions was, who's a threat to, like, who is the most likely to catch Bonds if anybody would? And it's like, you have to make enough contact to do so. It's not, you can't be Adam Dunn and do this. It's just, you're going to be too sporadic.
Right.
But yeah, I think a lot of guys are going to be able to do that over the next couple of years, though, with the way home runs are valued now compared to before. But that's a good trivia question. I like that.
It is, right? So the 8 guys to ever have 40 or more home runs in 5 or more consecutive seasons: Babe Ruth, A-Rod, Sosa, Ralph Kiner, Duke Snider, Adam Dunn, Barry Bonds, Ken Griffey Jr. Pretty good. Awesome. All right. Now I want to get to something that hasn't been done since people started tracking this in 1988. I think I saw George Kirby yesterday opened his outing with 24 consecutive strikes thrown.
Holy crap.
That's what we love about George Kirby, is it not?
Oh, it is. Absolutely. And there's almost a level of throwing too many strikes. And I think that's something that Kirby will have to navigate a bit. Wasn't an issue then. And the stuff, is good enough. But I mean, that's what makes the guy so fun. He's walking 1 batter per 9 right now.
Yeah.
I think we can look at Kirby. And again, when we're talking about the Mariners too, this is a guy that they're kind of trying to preserve his innings. They make it to the postseason. I mean, Kirby, it'll be an opportunity for Kirby to really show everybody how damn good he is. I would love to see him on that stage.
How about this? This from Stats by Stats. Most consecutive strikes thrown to start a Major League Baseball game since 1988 when they started tracking this. George Kirby to yesterday versus the Nats. Joe Musgrove threw 21 straight strikes on August 30, 2018. Irvin Santana threw 20 straight strikes in a start in April of 2014. Kyle Wright did it on July 9th, 18 consecutive strikes to open his game. And then Roy Halladay did it in April of 2011, 18 consecutive.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. So there we go. Here we are with like the trivia bullshit, but you would never get that. But yeah, George Kirby, 24 consecutive strikes to open his game. Just love it. Do you think he makes that postseason rotation if they get through the wild card series?
What would it look like? I think yes. I think the answer is yes. But who would force him out, presumably?
So it would for sure be Castillo and Ray, Gilbert.
Oh, I would rather go with a fourth, though. Like, if you're in a situation where you can go to a guy on short rest, sure. But would you rather go to Robbie Ray on short rest or a fresh George Kirby? I guess it depends how Ray's. I mean, if Ray's in like Robbie Ray, like tight pants shove mode, then maybe. Yeah. But Luis Castillo injury history. I don't know if I want to go to him on short rest. I think he's kind of that alternate where, depending on the pulse of the series, is either that swing man for you or can make that start in game 4.
Yeah. Would you don't think Scott Service would think about Chris Flexen or Marco Gonzalez in place of Kirby as the 4, do you?
I think that'd be outrageous. No, I think that'd be outrageous.
I think so too. Like definitely Marco, but Flexen, like I'm worried that Service may think, oh, like he's a little bit older. He's not a rookie in the postseason.
I think with the way George Kirby carries himself, and you can see it on the mound, and I know he earns high marks for that.
Treats himself like he's 35. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think for that reason, I would expect them to stick with Kirby.
Yeah, fair. Another young guy. I just want to touch on real quick. I saw Locked On Pirates had, like those photos that Locked On will like preview the pod with. It like, has that photo and it says something underneath when they put out the podcast. Mm-hmm. It said Oneil Statcast Cruz. Obviously, he hit that ball 122.4 for a single. I think I kind of want to make that his new nickname. Just call him Statcast. Because he throws the ball 1 billion miles an hour. He hits the ball 1 billion miles an hour. He runs 1 billion feet per second, but he's hitting like $199. So yeah, I think we should just call him Statcast.
He's just Mr. Statcast.
Yeah, right?
It's funny too, because it's one of those where, of course, all of those things point towards being a good player. Like they correlate, but if you can't hit a curveball, it's not going to matter. And that's the frustration. He's capable of let's call it. It was the hardest hit ball in the Statcast era, which is probably the hardest hit ball in baseball history. I don't think Babe Ruth was hitting a 122.4.
Bonds. The only thing that makes me think differently was like a steroid guy. Bonds.
McGuire. I think McGuire would have done it. I think maybe McGuire did it. And that was the one thing that Jeff mentioned on Outside the Box is he's like, we didn't have Statcast then, but like just watching some of those balls whiz over my head, I wouldn't be surprised if there was like a 124 in there. Yeah. And that's maybe the only guy, maybe one of those PED guys just before. But I mean, man, 122.4. This guy has the potential to be as good as freaking anybody, but yes, he is still looking like Mr. Statcast.
So Statcast Cruz is 6 for 65 with 43 strikeouts on breaking pitches.
So you probably don't need to throw him a fastball, right?
No, I wouldn't think so. He's slugging 584 on fastballs. He's slugging 092 on breaking balls.
Also, on that swing, he stood in the batter's box and watched it.
Correct.
Which is why it was a single. Also went into his home run trot and then just stopped at first.
Yes, correct. Now, can you explain to me like why he can hit the ball as hard as he does? because obviously he's big and he's a lot more wiry strong than I think a lot of people will give him credit for. But there's something about his swing path that allows him to do this.
It's funny. I was actually just talking about this when I went to Pensacola. I was talking to a couple of the guys on the team, and we were just talking about like tall ass dudes, and how all of them generate freak exit velos. If you look at like Ellie De La Cruz,
right?
You look at James Wood, you look at, and then of course Aaron Judge and other guys like that, and Stanton, of course. It's not, but those guys are like big and strong. You look at Ellie De La Cruz, he's kind of similar, where it's this wiry strength, and it's the amount of whip that you're able to generate from long levers. Because when you have those longer levers, you're able to just generate such a ridiculous amount of barrel and bat speed and whip that it is just unmatched. And I think that's really what it is for Oneil Cruz, is like the whip that he generates in that swing with his long levers. It's just unbelievably ridiculous. And long-armed, long-limbed guys are able to do that. They generate the kind of leverage that just few guys can. And I think it's a perfect example, because he's not ripped, but he produces more bat speed than basically anybody.
But seeing him up close, like having conversations with him up close, he is not skin and bone either. He's got a layer of muscle over everything. Like, he is a strong dude. He's wiry strong, but he is a strong guy. Yeah. So, I mean, this is a dude that is built like a pro athlete, standing 6'7", 225-ish, that is getting that whip, that momentum through the zone with a long bat path. I mean, dude, we're going to see some numbers.
That's the problem, though, is right. Like, the levers are so long that,
the bat path is long, hence struggling with a breaking pitch.
And he could cheat and hit the fastball. Like, he's good enough to know, like, okay, I can start now and I'll get to the fastball. But if you're starting earlier, you have to make your decision earlier, whether you're going to swing or not. And as a result, you're going to chase more breaking balls. So he's deciding way earlier before you can really pick up the spin. And that's why you see these half-hearted swings over breaking balls. That's part of the problem. He can gear up and hit the heater because he'll time it up. But that's going to be the question with a guy like him. And yes, those long levers are great when you can generate so much leverage and also just that whip. But at the same time, it is extremely difficult to repeat. And that's what makes James Wood so incredible to me. Yeah. Because James Wood is short. Like, James Wood has found a way to be way more short to the ball. And that's, of course, new Nationals prospect. That his in zone whiff being so low, that's why I think he could be a generational talent.
Yeah. In zone whiff, what do you think it is? His zone contact percentage for Oneil.
The zone contact for him. I'm going to guess Oneil Cruz's zone contact is like 72%.
It's 76.
It's not great.
It's not great.
That's if he was lifting and crushing baseballs, like, you can get away with that if your slugging on contact is off the charts, but he grounds out a lot. So that's also just not going to be sustainable there for him to be able to really put up good numbers.
Yeah.
Stephen Kwan's like 96%.
Yeah, which is why Stephen Kwan's my favorite player in baseball right now. I fucking love Stephen Kwan. Did you guys talk Buehler at all yesterday?
We did not.
Okay, so it is. I'm an empathetic person to people that I know. I don't know Walker Buehler. Like, it's very hard for me to empathize with somebody that I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
fair.
It's, oh, you're a professional athlete. Like, damn, that sucks. When I saw that Buehler underwent his second Tommy John surgery, I was actually like very sad for him, because this is a guy that, we just watched Justin Verlander go 6 pretty much perfect innings. Only guy to reach base against him on Tuesday night was a fielding error on Mauricio Dubon. Like, punched out 10, no walks, no hits through 6. He was lifted. You look at Walker Buehler and it's like Verlander Jr. And he does everything right. He is as exciting a pitcher to watch as we have in baseball, because not only does he have an electric fastball and a biting knuckle curve and a great slider, and he mixes in a changeup, he is a pitchability guy, but all the pitches are disgusting, and he throws them all for strikes. Walker Buehler is how you build a prototypical pitcher. He's the one. He is the one. He is the golden boy of pitching. And it just sucks. And we talk about it all the time. Like, Tommy John is replacing a rubber band with a chain link fence.
Yeah.
And when the chain link fence breaks, you're fucked. It's not good.
Yeah. Well, Clevenger just came back from his second Tommy John. And you saw how emotional he was, because I'm sure he had a lot of doubt. And I don't know what the numbers are. I'm sure there's been studies on like second Tommy John surgeries and what the success rate is, and how often guys get back to where they were. But I think the most frustrating part about Walker Buehler is, and in the way that things have happened for him, is that, yeah, he's been great for years now, but yet last year was kind of the coming out party as like, hey, not only am I a good pitcher, because he was always regarded as a very good pitcher, but last year was hey, I'm going to win Cy Youngs, right? That's what I came away with last year from Walker Buehler. 26 years old, pitching 207 innings, punching out 212 in 33 starts too, like just compiling and also dominating. That's what really killed me with this whole thing, is because this was a guy that really just broke out and put it together. And it was similar to Dustin May, right? Where Dustin May was on the verge of just really asserting himself as one of the, up and coming starters in the game. So even a little bit different in that regard. And then he goes down. He's already back and looks great again. But, that's what really kills me with Walker, is he had his career year last year, and now he's not able to really follow that up this season or next.
It's hard. Recovery typically takes longer, according to Jeff Passan on a second Tommy John. And if you haven't ever read Jeff Passan's book, The Arm, he wrote it before he got to ESPN. I think he was a writer with Yahoo. It's one of the better baseball books in recent memory, because he spent a shit ton of time rolling around with a Daniel Hudson, who has come back and has become a very good reliever after 2 Tommy John surgeries. He went to Japan and he looked at the overuse practices in Japan for high school guys. It is an incredible, incredible book. Recommend go reading The Arm by Jeff Passan. But I mean, he knows it better than anybody. And Jeff Passan was expressing remorse for Walker Buehler yesterday. It is just a shitty thing to see for, one of the best pitchers in baseball.
So that was really actually one of the first things that I read from Jeff Passan, because that was in 16 when that came out, 2016. And what's really crazy is he actually wrote about a guy that pitched in our district. His name was Anthony Molina, or is Anthony Molina. he's still alive.
Yeah,
but this kid was the number one pitcher in the country by perfect game, and the kind of guy that when we had to face him, I it was like poop your pants territory in the box. It was up to 96 as a 15-year-old. And that was why he was just getting celebrated as this, huge prospect. And Passan writes about it, but he was up to 96, was expected to be a top 10 pick. And then all of a sudden he's down to 86. And just the layers of it, because Passan dove into the story and the background and what happened. And Molina ended up getting into off the field trouble and other things like that. But what's crazy is this kid went from number 1 player in the country to a guy that never pitched one pitch in professional baseball. And actually, I think only threw 1 collegiate inning. It just shows you how much is out of control and how quickly things can be taken away from you with how tough it is when it comes to preserving health and pitchers. And that book I might need to reread soon, honestly.
I think I'm going to reread it soon too. I was just looking at it and I was trying to see who he was highlighting. And I, can only get the Barnes and Noble, quick little description of The Arm. But yeah, I know I've got it at home. So I got to grab that and reread it, because I remember being floored by it. And I think why we fell in love with baseball is because of the intricacies of it and because of what happens off the field that is so interesting. Like basketball, obviously you have contractual conversations, but so much of that and all of it is pretty much around, what do you do for me on the basketball court? Are you a good shooter? Are you a good defender? That type of thing. In football, do you hit guys hard or do you throw accurate passes? You make a lot of money. In baseball, you're playing 2 different games, right? Hitters and pitchers pretty much play a different game. With pitchers, you're a ticking time bomb now. Your elbow is a ticking time bomb. It's, have you had it? When are you going to have it? Dylan Cease had Tommy John as a junior in high school, I want to say, maybe a senior in high school. Shane McClanahan had it his freshman year at South Florida. It is
almost good.
It's almost good. It's hey, they got it out of the way.
Because most guys don't get it again. That's what makes the Walker Buehler situation unfortunate. And I don't know what the details were on Molina, but he was 6'4" and up to 96 as a freshman. So maybe just it's what the arm can literally handle as
maybe
well.
It's your body was not ready to take on 94 miles an hour.
And that's the crazy part, dude, is we still don't know so much. And that's what's really concerning. And when I look at a Sandy Alcantara, that's why there's probably pitchers better than him. There will be always. But you know what? The best ability is availability. That guy seems to be just the cut from a knock on wood, but a different cloth, where it just seems like his arm is built for it. And he works very hard to be that way. I'd give those guys more money than the guys that are really good and are injury prone. And like we talk about Edward Cabrera, that was someone I wanted to discuss because when I look at the Marlins rotation, I'm like holding my breath every time Edward Cabrera and even Jesus Luzardo pitch, because Luzardo's had some arm flare-ups, and it's not about their ability anymore. Like Luzardo's he's carving as we speak. I think there's 4 no-hit innings before we clicked record. Like Luzardo, you don't have any questions. He's going to, at the very least, is a very good number 3. Yes. I think at Edward Cabrera, you could say the same thing at this point too. Since returning from the IL, he's pitched 22 2/3 scoreless innings. But I still am nervous about both of them because it's out of their control as to whether they can stay healthy or not. Both have had shoulder issues, and that's the toughest part. But I do want to talk about that tandem real quick because those two have been insane since they've returned from their injuries. Both missed a decent amount of time. And, can you build around those guys? Like that's the question, is like, everyone says, oh, the Marlins were crazy to not trade Pablo. Why didn't they trade Pablo, who also has his own shoulder issues? Well, you have that pitching depth, but it could disappear very quickly. And Edward Cabrera and Jesus Luzardo were on the IL at the same time. And we were seeing guys like Cody Petit make starts, who's also on the IL. Like, I think you get to the point now where you can't have too much pitching. We always talk about that, but I think it's as much of a story as ever. Look at the Marlins. Sixto Sanchez on the shelf. Jake Eater, who would have debuted this year, returning from Tommy John surgery. Like, there's just so many guys that this is one of the most pitching wealthy teams, and they still find themselves starting Brian Hoeing, who got shelled for 7 runs against the Dodgers. And guess what? He's pitching again when the Dodgers come to town in a couple of days. So it's just a testament to how little is in your control when it comes to the health of pitchers. And I just don't even know how you can game plan for something like that.
Yeah. Edward Cabrera is Edward Cabrera has thrown 231 changeups this year. Opponents are hitting 143 against it. Cabrera has thrown 141 four-seam fastballs. Opponents are hitting 087 against it. Cabrera has thrown 110 sliders. Opponents are hitting 080 against it. And he has thrown 98 curveballs. Opponents are hitting 100 against it. The only pitch that people are hitting occasionally is his sinker.
Yeah, and he barely throws it.
He doesn't throw it. Like, that's his 5th pitch.
I'm writing something on Cabrera right now. And I was going to wait till his next start because I kind of wanted to see how the next one looks too. But what's amazing about him is he looks like Sandy Jr. The way the arsenal works is very similar. The sinker doesn't work as well for him as maybe the changeup. So he uses the changeup more, but he throws his changeup at 92 miles an hour. Sometimes it gets up to 93, 94, and those almost act as the sinker. And what's wild is his fastball command, Cabrera's, is not great. He throws his changeup for a strike like 70% of the time. The guy is more comfortable throwing a changeup than a fastball. It's insane.
It's insane. And we were talking about it just like on the phone, and we were thinking maybe we dive into it in terms of editorially, like maybe we dive into it in a written article. But the Marlins are deploying the high-speed changeup. There is minimal separation, if any, and we've seen Zach Greinke do it, like 88 mile an hour fastball, 90 mile an hour changeup. And listen, the definition of changeup is not slower than fastball. The definition of changeup is different grip, different pitch profile,
less spin,
pretty much. So, Sandy, obviously you're seeing 92 mile an hour changeups on a 99 mile an hour fastball. Cabrera is throwing 92, 93, 94 mile an hour changeups.
Yep.
And Pablo Lopez is throwing he's mid 90s with his fastball. He's about
like
90.
92 to 94 with the fastball, and touch of 5 or 6,
90 with his changeup.
Yeah.
It's incredible what your team is doing with that, and it's such a good pitch.
Yeah, I'm really excited to dive into that. That's a piece I'm definitely going to put together as well. And it's funny because it's not just those guys. I mean, Trevor Rogers, when he was right, it was the changeup that was the
minimal
unhittable
separation.
pitch.
There's minimal separation in velocity.
And another dude, yeah, minimal separation, but the changeup was just devastating. And even like Luzardo's, mixed it in a little bit and feels good with that pitch, feels confident with that pitch. Like they have found a way to teach that, to preach that pitch to top to bottom. But I am interested to dive into that because the power change is working. It works. It clearly does.
It's kind of crazy because, I think historically the thinking around changeups has been the slower it is compared to your fastball, the better. If you have 20
more separation
miles an hour,
is generally better.
More separation, the better, because you want them to kind of look the same. Now it's just another pitch that moves differently, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like fastball splitter. Like Felix Bautista has become one of the best relievers in baseball because he throws 102 on a clothesline and 88 to 90 that falls off that clothesline about 10 feet before it gets to the plate.
How about Duran's Splinker?
Yes, same thing.
It's the same thing. So, I still think there's validity to the, separation side of things. If you have a traditional 3-pitch mix, right? You want to have those 3 different speeds. But when you are in the freak territory, and all of the guys that we just listed are in the freak territory, right? At that point, like it's just so hard for a hitter when it's 95 in all different directions that you might as well just throw it hard. If you're capable of throwing it that hard, then it just works. And you can just say, fuck separation. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing with some of these pitchers. And the Marlins are kind of leading the way with that, with their talented arms. And I'm interested to see how they continue to do that. And I think Yuri Perez is kind of in the same boat. That guy's changeups are really, really hard when he throws them. So it's pretty cool what they're doing. Hopefully they can find a hitter or two. That'd be really nice. But that's a piece I'm definitely looking forward to putting together.
Yeah, man. Anything else we got to hit?
I'm trying to think.
There was one more thing that I wanted to hit. Matt Olson just hit a grand slam and a 14-2 win for the Braves over the Pirates. And I was telling you on the phone, like, kind of just wanted to take a moment to appreciate Matt Olson because, again, like we've talked about the narrative around him and being the heir to the Freddie Freeman throne in Atlanta, but he has put together a really good year this year. In 125 games, he's got an 815 OPS. He's got 27 homers and 88 driven in now, I want to say, on an 162 game basis over his 7-year career so far. And granted, Matt Olson is still, he's 28 years old. Yeah, turned 28 on March 29th. On an 162 game basis, Matt Olson is slashing 251, 345, 506, 32 doubles, 39 home runs, 106 driven in. He's one of the best hitters in baseball.
And I think he's like still getting just now getting acclimated to Atlanta. Like, I think there was still that there was a lot that he had to handle and a lot that he had to deal with, as we've talked about. So I think he's going to go nuclear in the postseason. I really do. I think he's going to be one of the guys that really carries them. And I think he's going to continue that into what'll be similar to what we saw last year next season. I think this was kind of, get your feet wet in Atlanta type of thing. And I think he's going to be that one of the best hitters in baseball conversation because he hasn't been that statistically over the course of this year. But I agree that he is capable of being one of the best hitters in baseball. And I really hope he gets there because I think this Braves team's fun. I know I like a new champion. I do. But hell, man, I wouldn't mind seeing the Braves back in the World Series. I really talk about teams you like watching. I really enjoy that team. And especially now that Vaughn Grissom is doing what he's doing on top of everything. Peter and I were talking about that too. It's a really fun team over there. The playoffs are going to be filled with very fun teams, especially if the Brewers continue to fall. That kind of eliminates one boring postseason team. Yeah. We're going to have a lot of fun postseason teams potentially this year.
We're going to have a lot of fun postseason baseball here. And I'm just thinking, like, if I'm a Braves fan, I'm going to sleep at night knowing that I've got for the next 6 years, at the very least, Matt Olson, Austin Riley, Ronald Acuna, Vaughn Grissom, Michael Harris, all locked up with what? Albies expiring at some point in that.
I think they've got him for what? They signed him to a pre-arb big time deal too.
It was 7 years for 35, I want to say.
Something like that. Yeah. So, I mean, that core, and then, you look at just around the league. I'm liking this new approach to locking up your young stars. Even like the Rays doing it, and hopefully the Mariners do that with J-Rod. But I don't even know what that price tag's going to look like. I feel like the Orioles are going to do it with Adley, especially if they're planning on sizably. What was it again?
Significantly escalating the payroll.
Yes, if they significantly escalate the payroll, forget a free agent. I think that's one of the first things you got to do is do that. But also, I forgot to mention Byron Buxton hit the IL as well. Low grade right hip strain yesterday. Hopefully not a big deal. I'll take a low grade strain. But like, damn, man, I thought we were kind of in the clear for a little bit, but I mean, I think it's pretty clear that like that, this is just always going to be a thing for him. He's kind of at the point where you're just kind of shooting for 100 games a year and hoping you get something close to that.
No, I mean, that's why the deal made sense, right? Yeah. Like if he was fully healthy, he would be making 3 times that amount. If he Byron Buxton is going to be one of the most frustrating guys that we watch in this era of baseball because he's so freaking good when he's on the field. I think what I wasn't expecting from Buxton this year is the lack of athleticism offensively. And I don't just mean that by stolen bases, but I mean that by fending off tough pitches for singles. Like, he is a low batting average, high power, no stolen base guy. Like, this shouldn't be a Gold Glover with 30 homers and nothing else.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it seems like. He's kind of guarding himself in some ways, but it's weird with the offensive approach. It's true. It's like not just put the ball in play and beat it out. He's trying to swing for the fences, and that's just what he is. It's going to be low 300s OBP, a ton of home runs, great defense in center, which is great. But yeah, he's not giving you that 5-tool dynamic, ability that you were hoping for. But I guess even at this point, if you're getting what Byron Buxton gave you this year moving forward, I think the Twins would be very happy with that.
Yeah, I think so. All right. That it?
Yeah, that's all I got. I'm excited for your guys' interview tomorrow. That's going to be pretty cool, I think.
It'll be pretty cool, I will say. All right. We're just going to sneak attack, drop it on you guys on Friday morning. So,
yeah,
anything that we would be plugging right now is in the episode description. Go get that. Peter and I, and possibly will join us for an intro and outro. We'll talk to you tomorrow.